Welcome to this video, and thank you for being here, because what you're about to watch isn't just a summary. It's a shift, a turning point, a wake-up call. Today, we're diving into a book that has changed millions of lives. A book that reveals why some people succeed and others struggle. Why we stay stuck in the same patterns for years, and how you can change your life by changing one powerful thing: your habits. The book is The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg, and this might be the most important video you'll watch this year. Why this book matters so much. Every single day, you wake up and do hundreds of things. Some good, some bad, some you're proud of, some you regret. But here's the truth. Most of the things you do, from brushing your teeth, checking your phone, getting angry, procrastinating, eating junk food, giving up on your goals, they're not choices, they're habits, automatic, unconscious, repeated over and over. And the scariest part? Most people never stop to ask, why do I do what I do? This book answers that question, clearly, powerfully, and scientifically. It doesn't just talk about motivation. It explains the invisible loop that runs your entire life. And once you understand it, you gain control. You can stop wasting time. You can stop sabotaging yourself. You can stop making promises you don't keep. You can build new habits, real discipline, long-term success. That's why this summary isn't just information, it's transformation. In this video, you'll learn the science behind habits and how they control you without you knowing, how to break bad habits and build new ones, the secret used by athletes, CEOs, addicts, students, writers, and even companies like Starbucks and Apple, why willpower isn't enough and what actually works instead. And most importantly, how to become someone who doesn't just change temporarily, but transforms permanently. If you're learning English, this video is perfect for you, because you won't just improve your mindset, you'll also improve your listening skills, your vocabulary, and your sentence understanding, all in one experience. This is how real learning happens. By listening to powerful content that speaks to your heart in clear, emotional English that stays in your memory forever. So listen closely, take notes, let the words sink in, and let's begin the journey. Lesson 1. The habit loop. Cue, routine, reward. This is the foundation of everything. If you understand this, you understand your entire behavior. Charles Duhigg explains that every habit, whether good or bad, follows a pattern. It's called the habit loop, and it has 3 parts. 1. Cue, the trigger, something that reminds your brain to start the habit. 2nd, routine, the behavior, what you actually do. 3rd, reward, the result, what your brain gets and why it wants to repeat it. Let's break it down with a simple example. Imagine you always eat chocolate at 4 p.m. The cue might be the time, 4 p.m. Or maybe it's boredom or stress. The routine is walking to the fridge, opening it, and grabbing chocolate. The reward is the taste, the feeling of relief, the moment of pleasure. Now here's the problem. Your brain starts to expect that reward. So tomorrow at 4 p.m., your brain whispers, "Where's my chocolate?" And you repeat it again and again, until it's no longer a choice. It's a habit. This applies to everything: checking your phone, skipping the gym, smoking, gossiping, even your morning routine. It's not about willpower. It's about loops. Once you understand the loop, you can change the routine and keep the cue and reward the same. So instead of eating chocolate when you're stressed, you go for a walk, or drink water, or meditate. Same cue, new routine, better reward. That's how you break the loop, by replacing the middle. Lesson 2. Craving is the real power behind your habit. This is where it goes deeper. Most people think habits are just about doing something again and again. But what actually keeps the habit alive is the craving. Craving is what makes your brain feel excited before the habit even starts. It's what makes your body feel anxious until you do it. Let's go back to the chocolate example. You're not addicted to the chocolate itself. You're addicted to the feeling you crave before you eat it. That moment of peace, that taste, that escape. Companies know this. Think about toothpaste. Did you know toothpaste never needed foam or mint? But companies added it, so your brain would crave that fresh, tingly feeling. Now you don't feel clean unless it's minty. That's craving. Or look at social media. The cue? Your phone buzzes. The routine? You open the app. The reward? A like, a message, a notification. But what keeps you coming back? Craving the attention, craving the dopamine, craving the connection. Here's the truth. You can't control what you crave unless you bring awareness to it. The moment you feel that pull, pause. Ask, what am I actually craving? Is it food or comfort? Is it scrolling or escape? Once you name the craving, you reduce its power. That's the second step in mastering your habits. Understanding what your brain is really chasing. Because once you replace the craving, you break the addiction. Lesson 3. The golden rule of habit. Change. Change the routine. Keep the cue and reward. This lesson is the core of real transformation. It's not enough to try harder. Most people fail at breaking bad habits because they think they need more willpower. But this book reveals something far more practical and powerful. You don't need to erase the habit. You need to rewire it. The cue will still come. The reward will still matter. But you change the routine in between, the part you control. Let's take a real-life example from the book. There's a man named Bill Wilson. He was an alcoholic. Every day after work, he went to a bar. The cue was stress. The routine was drinking. The reward was relaxation. He tried to quit drinking many times, but each time, the cue, stress, remained. So he always went back. One day something changed. Instead of going to the bar, he called a friend. They talked for 30 minutes. He laughed. He felt lighter, less lonely. That was the breakthrough. Same cue, stress, new routine, conversation, same reward, emotional relief. And that's how Alcoholics Anonymous was born. It's built on this golden rule. Keep the cue and reward, but replace the routine. This works for everything. If you smoke because you feel anxious, replace smoking with deep breathing or a walk. If you scroll social media because you feel bored, replace it with reading or journaling. If you eat junk food at night because you feel empty, replace it with calling someone you love. The key is, you don't break habits by fighting them. You redirect them. Think of it like a river. You don't block the flow. You dig a new path. You must become a builder of new routines. Routines that lead to the same emotional reward, but through actions that build you, not destroy you. This is how change happens. Not overnight, but over and over, by replacing one damaging routine with a powerful one. Lesson 4. Keystone habits. The habits that change everything. This might be the most powerful idea in the entire book. Not all habits are equal. Some habits are so important, so foundational, that changing just one of them starts a ripple effect across your whole life. These are called keystone habits. Charles Duhigg explains that keystone habits are habits that spark other positive behaviors automatically. They act like dominoes. One falls, and many others follow. Let's take an example. Story. Lisa, the woman who transformed everything. In the book, we meet a woman named Lisa. She was overweight, depressed, smoked a pack a day, constantly broke, constantly quitting jobs. Her life was a mess. Then, one day, after a painful breakup, she made one decision. She would stop smoking. That's it. She didn't say she'd change her whole life. Just this one keystone habit. But something magical happened. Once she quit smoking, she started running. She began waking up earlier. She saved money. She changed her diet. She applied for a better job. She moved to a new city. Within a year, her entire identity had changed. All because she focused on one keystone habit. Why? Because keystone habits affect your self-image. When you keep one promise to yourself, your brain says, "I'm the kind of person who keeps promises." That belief spills into everything you do. Let's look at more examples. Exercise is a keystone habit. People who exercise regularly tend to eat healthier, sleep better, procrastinate less, and even spend less impulsively. Making your bed is a keystone habit. It sounds silly, but it creates a feeling of order. It sets the tone for discipline. Studies show people who make their bed are more productive and feel more in control. Writing a gratitude journal is a keystone habit. It leads to better mood, less anxiety, improved relationships, because your brain gets trained to focus on what's working. The power of keystone habits is this. They don't just change what you do. They change who you believe you are. That's why this lesson is life-changing. You don't need to change 100 things today. You need to identify just one keystone habit and give it everything. Choose a habit that you can do daily, feels meaningful, builds your identity, then do it again and again, and watch your life shift, quietly, powerfully, and permanently. Lesson 5. Willpower is a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Most people believe that willpower is something you're either born with or not. They say things like, "I just don't have discipline. I can't control myself. I always give up. Some people are just stronger than me." But Charles Duhigg destroys this myth. He explains that willpower is not a talent. It's not luck. It's not magic. Willpower is a muscle. And just like any muscle, it gets tired when overused, but it gets stronger when trained. Let's look at one powerful example from the book. There was a group of researchers who ran an experiment. They brought two groups of people into a room. Both groups were hungry. One group was offered chocolate chip cookies. The other group was told they could only eat radishes. The radish group had to sit there, resisting the delicious smell of cookies, while they munched on bland vegetables. Later, both groups were given a puzzle to solve. It was a nearly impossible task. And the real test wasn't who could solve it, but who would try the longest before giving up. The result? The people who had resisted the cookies gave up on the puzzle much faster. Why? Because their willpower muscle was already tired. They had used so much self-control earlier that they didn't have energy left for the next challenge. This teaches a powerful truth. Willpower is limited in the short term, but it grows with practice. So, how do you build it? Start with small promises to yourself. Don't aim for perfection. Aim for repetition. Examples. Make your bed every morning, no matter what. Drink a glass of water before you check your phone. Write one sentence in a journal every night. Go for a 5-minute walk, even if you don't feel like exercising. Each time you do something you don't feel like doing, your willpower gets stronger. It's like lifting weights. The more resistance you push through, the stronger you become. Eventually, your identity begins to shift. You stop saying, "I'm lazy," and start saying, "I do hard things." You stop saying, "I give up," and start saying, "I finish what I start." Willpower is built in moments when no one is watching, when you choose discomfort over convenience, when you show up tired, but still show up. The difference between successful people and average people isn't that they never feel weak. It's that they've trained their willpower, and it's become their secret weapon. So start today. Pick something small and prove to yourself, "I do what I said I would do." Do it again tomorrow, and again the next day. And one day, when life throws something huge at you, you'll be ready, because you didn't wait for strength. You built it. Lesson 6. The role of belief. Why you must believe change is possible. This might be the most emotional and spiritual part of the entire book. Charles Duhigg discovered something shocking. Even when people understand the habit loop, even when they learn how to change routines, even when they have strong willpower, they still fail. Why? Because deep down, they don't believe they can change. They say they want transformation. But part of them whispers, "I've tried before. It never lasts. I'm not the kind of person who sticks to things. I'll always be this way." And that belief becomes their prison. But here's the truth. No habit can be broken without belief. Not belief in magic, not belief in perfection, but belief in possibility. Duhigg explains this using the story of Alcoholics Anonymous AA. For decades, psychologists couldn't understand why AA worked. There was no official therapy, no medication, no scientific structure. Yet millions of people got sober through it. So what made the difference? It wasn't the steps. It was the belief that change was possible, and the support of a group that believed in them even when they didn't. AA creates a system of belief. People are surrounded by others who say, "I was like you. I failed like you. I suffered like you. But I changed. So can you." That belief, even borrowed, becomes the seed of transformation. And once people begin to believe they are capable of change, they act differently. They try again. They stay longer. They push harder. Because now they're not just fighting for a result. They're fighting for a new identity. You can't change your habits permanently if you believe you are still broken. But the moment you say, "I am becoming someone new," your brain starts to align with that identity. You don't need to believe everything right now. You just need to believe one thing. Change is possible. And if that feels hard, borrow someone else's belief until it becomes yours. Look at the people who've changed. Read their stories. Surround yourself with voices that remind you who you can become. And speak this into yourself. I am not my past. I am not stuck. I am not finished. I am becoming. I am not weak. I'm training. I am not a failure. I am rebuilding. When belief enters your mind, your habits begin to shift. When belief lives in your heart, your life begins to follow. That's the invisible force behind every transformation. And that's why Lesson 6 is not just about habits. It's about hope. Lesson 7. Your environment shapes your habits more than your willpower. This lesson is one of the most eye-opening in the entire book. And it breaks a myth that destroys millions of dreams. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your surroundings. Most people think habits are about self-control. They believe they fail because they're weak or lazy or undisciplined. But Charles Duhigg shows us something different. Your environment, the people, places, sounds, triggers, and systems around you, often have more control over your behavior than your actual intention. Let me give you an example that explains everything. The story of the hospital soap. In a hospital, many doctors were not washing their hands, even though they knew how dangerous it was. They were told again and again. Posters were put up, lectures were given. But still, many skipped it, and patients were dying from infections. Then, someone made one tiny change. They moved the soap dispensers closer to the entrance of every room. They also placed hand sanitizer right near the beds, within reach. What happened? Hand washing rates skyrocketed. Infections dropped dramatically. No lecture, no new rules, no punishment, just a change in environment. The habit didn't require willpower anymore. It became automatic, because it was easy. This is how habits work. If your phone is next to your bed, you'll scroll before sleep. If junk food is in your kitchen, you'll eat it eventually. If you surround yourself with people who complain, you'll start speaking like them. But if you place your journal next to your pillow, you'll write. If your running shoes are by the door, you'll walk. If your water bottle is on your desk, you'll drink more. You don't have to fight yourself. You just have to design your space. Ask yourself, what's the first thing I see when I wake up? Is my phone pulling me into distraction? Is my home helping me become the person I want to be? Are my friends holding me back or lifting me up? You don't just build habits. You build the space where your habits are born. And here's the secret. The more friction there is, the harder it is to act. The less friction, the more automatic your habit becomes. So reduce the friction for good habits. Increase the friction for bad ones. Don't just change your mind, change your environment, and your life will follow. Lesson 8. Small wins lead to big victories. This lesson is the beating heart of sustainable transformation. It teaches us the greatest secret behind all massive change. And it's not what you think. You don't need big motivation. You need small wins. Charles Duhigg explains that people don't fail because their dreams are too big. They fail because they ignore the small victories that build momentum, belief, and identity. Let's explore this through one of the most powerful real-life stories in the book. When Paul O'Neill became the CEO of Alcoa, one of the largest aluminum companies in America, everyone expected him to focus on profits, market share, innovation. But he shocked the world. In his first public speech as CEO, he said this: "We're going to focus on one thing: safety. I want to make Alcoa the safest company in the world." Investors were confused. Reporters were stunned. People whispered, "He's crazy." But O'Neill knew something they didn't. He understood small wins. Focusing on safety meant better communication between workers and leaders, faster reporting systems, more discipline and structure, higher morale, fewer injuries, less downtime. Within a few years, Alcoa became more profitable than ever. Not because they aimed at money, but because they aimed at a small but powerful win. This is the secret. One positive habit creates a chain reaction. You start journaling. You become more self-aware. You start walking 15 minutes a day. Your mood improves. Your food choices improve. Your sleep gets better. You make your bed every morning. You start your day with a win. You feel in control. You carry that energy into every task. Here's the most important truth. Small wins create identity. If you meditate for just 2 minutes a day, you're not just relaxing. You're becoming someone who takes care of their mind. If you write one sentence in your book each night, you're not just writing. You're becoming someone who doesn't quit. People wait for motivation, but motivation is unreliable. What actually works is small, repeatable victories that train your brain to believe, I can change. I am disciplined. I finish what I start. And once your identity changes, your life changes permanently. So don't aim for massive change today. Aim for one small win. Do it every day. Stack the wins. Build momentum. And soon, the impossible becomes inevitable. Lesson 9. You have the freedom to change any habit, but only if you accept responsibility. This is the deepest, most challenging lesson in the book, and it's one that many people run from. You are not your habits, but your habits have become your life. You were not born with the habit of procrastinating. You weren't born addicted to distraction. You didn't choose to be lazy, anxious, or emotionally distant. Those things were learned. But here's the truth. What was learned can be unlearned. What was repeated can be replaced. What became automatic can be redesigned. But only if you do one thing. Take full responsibility for what happens next. This book ends with a hard but beautiful truth. No matter where you come from, no matter how bad your past habits have been, no matter what excuses the world has given you still have the power to change your habits. And therefore, change your life. Let's take a powerful real-world example from the book. Angie Bachman was a housewife. Bored, lonely, looking for excitement. She started gambling, just for fun at first. But soon, it became her escape, her obsession, her identity. Over the years, she lost millions of dollars. Her family was destroyed, her reputation ruined. She blamed the casino, the stress, the boredom, the lies she told herself. And yes, the system played a role. Casinos knew how to manipulate her habits. They knew her schedule, her weaknesses. They gave her perks. They made it easy for her to fall. But here's what the book teaches us. The system might have been unfair, but the decision to keep playing, that was hers. Even when she saw herself losing, even when the guilt was overwhelming, even when she knew she had a problem, she kept going. Because she never stopped and said, I'm responsible for this loop, and I can change it. This is what separates those who transform and those who stay stuck. The people who change their habits don't wait for the world to be fair. They don't blame their phone, their job, their parents, their past, their partner. They look in the mirror and say, this is my life, and I am in control now. You have to choose that. No one will do it for you. Your brain will try to run on autopilot. It will pull you toward the familiar even if it's painful. But if you interrupt the loop, if you stop and say, not this time, you reclaim your power. And here's the secret. The brain doesn't care what habits you build. It will automate anything you repeat. So why not automate greatness? Why not program your mind to default to discipline instead of delay, to courage instead of comfort, to consistency instead of chaos? You are one decision away from becoming someone new. Not next year. Not after you feel ready. Not when the fear goes away. But now. Right now. This is your moment to choose what your future self will thank you for. Because if you don't choose your habits will choose your life for you. And they don't care if they destroy it. Take responsibility. Rewrite your loop. Choose the life you were born to live, not the one you've been repeating. You've just walked through the most important transformation map ever written. You now know the truth. Your life is not controlled by luck, or motivation, or willpower alone. It is controlled by the small actions you repeat every day. And the moment you take control of those actions, your future opens. You've learned how habits work. You've learned how to break them. You've learned how to build new ones. You've learned that belief matters, that environment matters, that small wins matter, that keystone habits matter, that you are never stuck unless you choose to be. Now it's time to do something most people never do. Apply it, use it, live it. This video wasn't just a summary, it was a mirror. And if you listened closely, it reflected a version of yourself that you've forgotten. The one that still believes. The one that still tries. The one that still has fire left in them. That person is still there. You don't need permission. You don't need more time. You need one thing: to take one habit and begin. One new action, one new decision, one loop rewritten, and your entire life begins to shift. It won't be easy, but it will be worth it. Now, before you go, I want to remind you of something important. If this video spoke to your heart, if it gave you even one moment of clarity, if you felt seen, understood, or inspired, then I invite you to subscribe. Because on this channel, we don't just read books, we build better lives through them. We take the wisdom of pages and turn it into action, into power, into real change. So hit subscribe, not just for the next video, but for the next version of you. Because your story isn't over. It's just beginning. And the next chapter starts with one habit, chosen by you. I believe in you. Now go take the first step and never look back.